I want to hear your
I want
delusional dream
investigations.
about what's going to happen
I want
if
to
the
arrest
Democrats
them.
actually win.
Yeah, well, that's a good question.
What's your delusional dream?
My delusional dream is that they run these investigations. Hey guys, welcome to the TOWTalk Podcast. I'm Denise. I'm here with Neil. Today is Sunday, February 22nd. Oh my God, just a month away from spring. And we're about to have another snowpocalypse. So we're a little, we've been running around getting all ready for the next band of snow. I think they're expecting, I don't know, I'm hearing like crazy amounts now, upwards of possibly 2 feet. So yay. And you know what?
Can we talk about the snow for a second?
Yeah,
I
let's
just
go.
really want to talk about the snow for a second. All right. I just want to let my fellow neighbors know, okay? The snow will hit, and then we will all get out of our homes, and the stores will be open, and food will be on the shelves, and everything will be fine, okay? All right? I say this because I had to go to the store to pick up one thing yesterday, and oh my God, like people were buying all the bread, people were buying all the milk,
All the
like
toilet paper.
it was like yeah, toilet paper. I mean, it was like the people felt like they were never going to get to the store again. Okay, it's 2 days, that's it, 2 days maybe max 3 days, but like seriously, like holy cow.
They come in, oh my God, it's a blizzard. So yeah, so that's happening. Let us
They have
know.
everybody. They have everybody like predisposed. Like when they're like this is like when you were growing up, right? You got that stuff because there of all the shortages, right? The supply chain, broke down and all that kind of stuff. But we don't really have a lot of that going on today, So it's like really,
Well,
we have more than one store.
they are in a panic. They like the cheese. I went in there to Hanover. The cheese shelf was almost empty. I'm like, they all went for cheese. They all went for the cheese. Crackers and cheese are like gone. They're gonna survive. We're gonna be snowed in for weeks on end, and we're gonna live on crackers and Gouda. Okay, so moving along.
Right. Next.
Next. So, some news with regard to the theft here in the town of Wallkill with regard to Tobias Otaneo. Oh, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Neil, help
Yeah,
me
you
out.
got it right. No, you got it right.
So he pled guilty, didn't he?
Yes.
Not to a lesser charge.
No, he pled guilty to, I think it was like a felony or a couple felonies or whatever. We'll find out what the actual deal is when he gets sentenced.
Okay.
What the agreement is in terms of like, the max is like 12 years in prison, but I don't know if he'll get that. So we'll find out. It was, I'll say this, whatever the deal was pretty light in comparison to, what I think it should have been or what other people.
So maybe he pled to a lower charge, possibly a lower
lesser charges.
Yeah.
I don't know. It seemed the whole thing just seems really, really odd and weird to me. To be honest with you, having been there from the very beginning of this story, right? It just seems that the whole thing seems very, very odd to me. The way it's kind of rolling out, the lack of communication, between all the parties involved, the lack of any real indictment on the guy, the whole thing just doesn't sit right with me, just personally. But this is the way it is. This is Town of Wallkill politics.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this, because I didn't see it in the story I read, anything about restitution. Was that money, do we know for sure if all of that money was recovered or most of it was recovered?
again, I go to so one of the things that the town board did this week is they appropriated $1 million or allocated $1 million toward a forensic investigation. So when money has been stolen, okay,
Yeah.
just so people understand, okay, because I understand that that sounds like a lot of money from a municipality this size, but when money's been stolen and you don't have controls in place, okay, right? The idea being you need an accounting for
Yeah.
everything. Okay? You need to make sure that stuff has been appropriately done. And one of my biggest gripes, and everybody's heard it from me, and I've said it a million times, right? They are so far behind. Right? What like at the end of the day, what is going on? Okay, right? Like when George took office, George Serrano was a former supervisor in the town of Wallkill, right? He served from, I believe, I want to say 2022 to 2025
Yeah.
through the
Yeah.
end of 2025, right?
2 terms, yes.
So two terms, okay, two-year terms, and they are in no better shape than they were when he took office.
I
Okay.
dare I
In fact,
say I think it's worse. It was worse over those 4 years.
It we again, we don't know, and here's the thing, we don't know because there's absolutely been 0 accounting for those 4 years,
Right. So now we're basically playing
okay?
catch up.
I think we have maybe 2022 done, but even 2022, we're not so sure about, right? Because we had to go back and make adjustments to 2021, right? You don't know there are so many variables that are going on, and remember in 2022, we got the town got a qualified opinion. Okay. So now to refresh our viewers, right? A qualified opinion means that they said, except for these things, we think that your financial statements are fairly stated, right? But the things that they don't know, right? Like that's why they qualified it, was that they really just don't know. They got to the point where they just needed to get it done. So they sort of punted on it, and now we're finding that there are other issues. And there's been no accounting for those years that George was in office. Not only from a budgetary standpoint, but from an actual accounting standpoint. And money was stolen over a 2-year period.
Yeah. Yeah, and
Okay.
that's a big concern, how did you not see it? It was 405,000 and little over it. It was
Right.
like, how it wasn't until it got past 405,000 that anybody noticed. And that kinda tells you just how, on the ball people
Right.
were there.
Who who's reconciled, like the reconciliation of the books, right? It you got to fucking do these things, and if they're not getting done, why are they not getting done? What are the problems? These guys have been so, like, they've thrown out so much bad information, right? And they've lied so much to the public. The idea being, when you get in and you're taking a look at it, right? Just so this is something I saw. So this was something that was shared with me. They claim that Tobias Otieno, right, stole $405,000 from the town. Okay. Orange Bank and Trust is claiming that they recovered $370,000. Right. Now you have the board. Okay. Not the current board, but the previous board under Supervisor George Serrano, right, who stated, we got all the money back, every single dollar back. Okay. Well, if you're saying that you only recovered 370,000 and 405 was stolen, nah, that's not all.
35,000 is missing. Where'd that go?
Right. So, like, you need an accounting. Like, at some point, somebody has to be like, oh, it can't just be an official, like, making a statement that isn't true. Oh, we got
Right.
all the money back. Don't worry about it, right? Like, that's what we're hearing,
Yeah.
right? Like, that's all we heard from them is don't worry about it. We got it covered. Did you? Do you? Like, what is going on?
Yeah,
Right? And that's sort of the problem, and that's sort of where we are, and that's why we need a forensic audit. When money gets stolen and you don't have controls, the one of the main concerns is this is the money that was found.
right,
Okay?
right.
Is there money that wasn't found? Is there money that was taken that people don't know about or that wasn't discovered?
That's the
Okay?
whole point of why we're doing this. Uh,
And that right. I mean, when money goes missing in this sort of way and you don't have controls, then you have to kind of do that deep dive to figure out if something else happened. What else was occurring during that period of time? Why did that money go missing? Was it negligence? Was it the idea that things weren't being done appropriately? Did they not have policies and procedures? Or was it something more nefarious because maybe somebody else was taking money? We don't know.
right.
You don't
So
know. You
so
don't
let
know
me
until you look.
let me ask you a question here because there was a little bit of like, oh my God, $1 million. But a couple of things I want to point out. I believe that's over, isn't that over the course of like 10 years, from what I
No,
understood?
they're going back 10 years. We don't know how. So in governmental accounting is really weird. Okay? You have to appropriate the money up front. Just because you appropriate the money doesn't mean that you're A, going to spend the money, right? Or B, that money is going to be spent in 1 year. Okay? It just basically says this is our contract, right? And this is what we have permission to spend up to.
Got it. Okay. Uh,
Okay? So they left it open ended. They allocated $1 million for this type of investigation. Okay. Whether they spend it all or not, it will be a different that time will tell. It depends on what they find,
Exactly. And I want to
and
just let me ask you one more question, just to remind everybody. Just in 2025, the previous administration had spent, I'm going to say, at least 350,000 for audits that didn't really get done. And that was like before and after finding out 450,000 was 405,000 was stolen.
no, no. So they spent $350,000 not on audits, on accounting services
Okay.
to try to catch the town up, but that was in 1 year.
That was in 1 year,
Okay.
exactly.
So overall, from what I'm understanding, they've spent over like 600,000 or 700,000, right, trying to catch the town up over the last like maybe 2.5 years. Okay, that's in addition to what we spend on our accounting department, right? Because we have our current accounting department there. We're paying roughly about 350, $400,000 a year for. Okay, so in addition to that, they had been spending all this money to try to catch the town up on its bookkeeping. Okay, and they've just been really unsuccessful in doing so.
Okay. So they've already essentially, from what you're saying, that's adding up to at least $1 million there. Because there's some outrage, and I don't think they're really understanding
I don't think
what.
there's any outrage. I think there's one person who is trying to rile people up. Listen. I've been talking about accounting in this town for like the better part of 10 years,
Yes,
and
you
I can
have.
tell you right now, nobody's outraged. There is very little outrage.
That
People do not get outraged about finances. It just doesn't happen. Like everybody just kind of is like, all right, whatever. I think one person is creating faux outrage over this. And it just happens to be the same individual who has been trying to cover up and hide things for the better part of those 10 years that I've been talking about this.
Yeah. Yes, that's exactly right. We all know who that is. Um, so
I don't know what else to say. I mean, the guy they've been consistent, right? They were willing to spend all that money right? When George was in office, and they were hiding
To
the
hiding.
spending of that money, right? They were
Yes.
hiding spending that money because they were so far behind and so over their heads and out of their depth. They had no problem authorizing the money then, but now that Frank's in office and he's being transparent about how he's spending money, all of a sudden they're concerned about how money's being spent. Meanwhile, they've spent around $10 million, right, over the last 3 years
Holy
of the
shit.
town savings, right? So you're gonna sit here and bitch and moan about about $1 million when these guys have been on a spending spree, right, for the last 3 years.
God. So there you
I
go.
mean, $10 million of savings. Just what's that money been spent on?
Well,
Who
that's a good
knows?
question. Well,
Right.
that's the whole
Well, we don't
uh,
have an audit.
that's the whole point of the audit, to find out where
Right.
that money went, and we're gonna find out. And, and Frank is gonna keep the town apprised of what he uncovers. So, stay tuned, folks. Gotta let go so that'll we'll have more coming to you, more information as we learn more. Um
Oh, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully. A quick note, it's been getting around in the media that ICE has decided not to open a facility in Chester. Yet, I think, Neil, you can confirm you're in that area. Are those trucks still there? Have you had a chance to drive past it?
I you know, it's really hard. I can't give an answer one way or the other
No.
on what's going on because there has been absolutely no official word from DHS one way or the other. This is all the idea that they're not moving forward with the facility is coming from one state assembly member Brian Marr, and you're sort of relying on his word.
Yeah. Okay.
All I know is what is being relayed through the paper to us, right? And listen, I've met Brian Marr a few different times. He seems like a really nice guy. Okay. So I'm not going to be one to sit here and disparage him, you know,
Ah,
and say that he's not. But, I just say I take everything with a grain of salt until I
yes.
hear it
I was
from the
just gonna say
horse's
that.
mouth. I remain skeptical.
Me too. Me too.
Okay. And I'm going to still continue to speak up against the facility. My hope is that Assemblyman Marr is correct, that his information is correct, and that they aren't coming. Uh, I've seen different stories on it, and I've seen different reporting, and it's very interesting how the story keeps changing every time I listen to it.
Yeah.
All right, because it keeps getting further and further away from the original statement, which
Well,
was
that's
at this time,
yeah,
right? And then all of a sudden it's like they're not doing it, right?
that doesn't mean that they won't change their mind in the future. Unfortunately, you can't trust the federal government anymore. Anything that they say, it's just turns out to be something different every single time. There's just
Right.
no truth coming out. So if they say, "Oh, we've changed our mind or we're not interested, this isn't the area," and then you hear at this time, it's like, "Oh, so sometime in the probably in the near future, they're probably coming." But I will say this, that, a couple of weeks ago, you drove past the facility and did see, actual live activity there. There was a whole lot of tractor trailers in there, and there was what looked like an ICE, SUV, one of those blacked out SUVs with the blackout windows was sitting there. So, maybe when we dig out from this snow, one of us will take a drive down in that area and take a look.
I just listen. The federal government has talked out of both sides of its ass, right?
Yes,
Like they
it's
had
a
made a statement
perfectly accurate
not that long
description.
not that long ago. They had made a statement that they weren't going to buy the warehouse in Roxbury, New Jersey, and then it was like literally the day after they released the statement saying that they weren't going to buy it, they decided to buy it, right? Um, you know, and some research I've been doing has been very interesting on the whole thing. So if the federal government wants to buy a piece of real property, okay, it usually the normal process usually takes up to about 9 months,
Okay.
okay?
Yeah, that makes sense.
They've been closing in about 4 days,
Yeah, well,
okay?
yeah, there's something going
So
on there.
right, and so they were in, I believe it was Sunrise, Georgia, right, where they just purchased a warehouse. That warehouse was purchased by a Russian oligarch, right, through his LLC, like 18 months ago for like a little less than 30 million. And
28 million? 29
you're right,
million.
29 million, and the federal government paid 128 million for it. So like that's like $100 million profit, or in like 18 months. And there was like another facility, the same thing. Like they, this is just like these guys had this plan. Like everything is a plan, right? These guys bought up warehouses. They knew that that they could sell to the federal government, because this was the plan from the very beginning, was to buy these warehouses, and they could make huge profits because the government is the government and they're spending your money. So that's what they're doing.
Like it's water, spending it like it's water. We're seeing,
Yeah.
and that isn't the only one. So, there's been a
Yeah.
lot of information out there about different warehouses being bought for way over market value. What I'll do is I'll put together a list, and I'll post them. I'll post them on the Facebook page. This cost this much, but it was bought for this much. I mean, anywhere from 50 to 100%, or in the case of the one, what is that like? To how many was that? Like 5 times the value, just about 4 or 5 times the value of what they it was originally purchased for, less than 2 years ago.
But that they listen, the grift is like, I
It's in
mean,
our
you know,
faces. The corruption is in our.
it's like the literally in our faces. So I laugh at the news media has just as a little tangent. I'm gonna go on a little tangent because I want to prove a point here. All
Okay.
right. All right. The media has been going nuts about Trump losing in the Supreme Court on the tariffs,
Yes.
right? Okay, and I laugh hysterically at this. They are giddy as can be. Okay, he is so happy that he lost that, because him and Lutnick, okay, the Commerce Secretary, through Cantor Fitzgerald, right, bought the rights from companies, right, like for 30 cents on the dollar, right, at huge discounts, okay, their rights, right, to sue, right, for their tariff money. So the the people who are gonna, like, now that he has to give back all the tariff money, that tariff money is going to Lutnick and him.
It's going back to, yep. Yeah.
Right? It's like everybody keeps talking about, oh, well, the corporations, and we're not getting anything. The corporations aren't getting anything. It's Lutnick and Trump. Okay? Everything is Lutnick and Trump. Everything is Trump. Like he is profiting off of every loss. He's profiting off of like he knew right from the very beginning,
Yeah.
right, that this wasn't that it wasn't legal. But he didn't care, because he can then do what he's going to do, and then go buy this back, buy these rights, right, so that they can't sue and he can sue on their behalf, and then all of a sudden he's making a fortune of money.
Yeah.
He walks away with a bag full of cash, and then he pouts, pretends, right? Oh, I can't believe it, blah blah blah. I'm gonna go do this now. It's like it. It's the whole thing. Like, when people start realizing this whole thing is a joke,
It
right?
is
It's literally like
it is
one
the
big joke on the American people.
biggest grift in the history of grifting. It's unreal, the money. I mean, the IRS suit is just a joke in it of itself. The executive suing the IRS, which is under the purview of the executive, for $10 billion to go into the pocket of the executive. You don't see a
He he
problem.
he's just raiding the treasury. That's
Oh,
it. I mean,
yeah.
really, what
They
it
all
comes down
are.
to, and here's the thing, right? Everybody, like wondering, like you have to understand now. Okay, what is the net result? Well, the big beautiful bill that was passed that gave the Epstein billionaires those huge tax breaks, right? So you gave pedophiles huge tax breaks on the idea that you were going to have this tariff money. Now that you don't have the tariff money, right? It's not like they're running back and saying, "Hey, you guys have to contribute more," right? No, what are they telling you? What are they saying? They're saying, "Oh, you know what? You have to pay that. We all have to pay that."
Yeah.
Right? Our taxes are going to have to go up because now we have to plug the hole, right? That the tariffs no longer filled. Right? We have to work longer to pay off debts. RFK came out. We have to work longer. We can't retire as early because somebody has to pay down America's debts.
The debts. By the way, there is a website. I posted it, a link on our Facebook page, and it keeps an active tally on the deficit, how it's growing. And last I checked, it was creeping up towards 38.8. So by now, it's been a couple days. By now, it's probably $39 trillion. And it was $36 trillion when Trump took office. I thought the idea was he was going to bring the debt down to zero. Y'all believe that? Y'all believe that? So yeah, so that this debt, they actually put down how much debt that was per person, and it was something. It was over $113,000 per every single person living in America. That's how much debt for each and every one of us, children included, just like every person.
They But the thing is they don't care. Like they've literally said to every American, "We don't care about you. We have, we you're like as far as we're concerned, we can kill you on the street. You're meaningless to us, right? We're just the billionaires, and we're just going to keep taking, taking, taking." I mean, there was a whole big thing of where they've been grilling the pharmaceutical. If you're paying attention, you're a wonk like me, and you pay attention to politics in Washington, right? They were grilling, all these executives from all these health insurance companies, and they were like, "Listen, you guys are a bunch of greedy fucks."
Yeah. Yes, I did see that.
Like you set up you have a system, and you put profits above all else. And that's what's happened. Profits have now been put above country, above people, above our nation, you name it. Profits have been put ahead of everything. Okay? So when you put profits above everything else, okay, this is the result you're going to get. It's fascism. And that's all it is. And I've said, I don't care whether you're Republican or Democrat. All right? We did last year in January, right? We did a bill because one child,
Mhm.
right, was killed by an immigrant. Okay? The Lake and Riley bill, okay? And I'm not saying listen, whatever you want to say, she should not have been killed by an immigrant.
By
Something should have been
anybody.
done, right? Like I'm very sympathetic to that. But the idea that that bill alone which was for one person, okay, right? And it basically, went after our constitutional rights, right, of due process. Okay. Um, the fact that these Epstein files have now come out, right, and we can't get an Epstein tax, right? An Epstein bill that basically barring any person or business linked to Epstein from doing business with the state. Like, my feeling is this should be the minimum. And then you have a Epstein retirement bill, barring any bank or financial institution linked to Epstein from managing public funds.
That's a good
My
idea.
feeling is if you can come up with a bill for one person, okay, then we should be able to come up with a series of bills, okay, that limit those that were linked to Epstein.
Right.
Okay? If you can't get behind those three things, then my question is who do you actually serve? I don't care if you're on the left or the right here. I really like to know, like, what your thought process is. And Epstein tax, these billionaires obviously set up a child sex trafficking ring that were killing children, and it's not funny,
No?
but they obviously did that. And so that means these people have way too much money, right?
Yeah.
Like they've gotten to the point where they don't know what to do with their money. And my feeling is I know exactly what to do with their money, because there are roads, there's water, and there's sewer that we need. We
Yeah.
need health care.
Need health care.
Okay.
Yeah.
We need things that actually invest in America. And you know what? They got that money because over the last 40 years, the government has given them tax breaks and called them job creators. They've created no jobs. They've kidnapped and killed children, and they've run this country into the ground. Time for a different direction.
Yeah.
That it's obviously not,
Well,
the tax breaks have not worked.
Well,
Just
that's the
have not
point I was
worked.
gonna make because these people did not get this wealthy through, honest, hard work. They got it through breaks. They got it through contracts handed to them. They are rich off of our money
Insider trading.
and
They
insider
got it off
trading.
of insider trading.
Not just that too,
Like you
and
go
that too.
you go through the files, you see it.
Yeah. Yeah, they've rigged the system, they've rigged the markets, they've rigged everything for themselves. In other words, that's my point. They're not making this money because they're good, honest, hardworking business people. No. They fucking cheated their way to the top. And they did it on the
And
backs
and
of the American people and our retirement
and that,
money.
and right, and that's exactly what I was going to point out to you is some of these financial institutions manage our public funds. Okay, manage public funds. Okay, and if you go through the Epstein files, and I'm sure that nobody has gotten to this point yet because I think people are more on the salacious stuff, you can see what they've done is when if a manager has gotten themselves into financial trouble, they've borrowed the money from the public funds, right? And then they went to Epstein and others to say, hey, listen, I'm short, can you loan me some money? Okay, so
Oh,
they had
boy.
a scheme going on. Like these are all Ponzi schemes. Like
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Like at the end of the day, right? Those three things I mentioned should be the bare minimum anybody running for office today, right, should be saying. And if they're not saying any of those things, then they are absolutely 100% defending and protecting pedophiles and murderers. At
Yeah.
which point in time, right, you should not vote for them. I don't care, cult, no cult, whatever. I don't care what party. Like, you should not be voting for those people.
Yeah.
End of story, period.
Well, you gotta look at where they're getting their financing from to run their campaigns. And if it's coming, if they're getting big, big dollars, they're probably getting it from a PAC. And these PACs are all backed by these billionaires. I mean, they play both sides. They buy that's how they've gotten to the point that they're at is by buying all of our elected officials. So that's the reason why you want to focus on the
I,
grassroots.
I, I mean, look at here's a joke. All right, here's the joke of the system. Okay, there was a congressman when Thomas Massey was pushing his bill to release the Epstein files. There was a Republican congressman who voted no. He was supposed to vote yes. He voted no because the day that of the vote, he got $100,000 right donation from Les Wexman.
Oh, that asshole.
Right. Okay. Now,
Wexner, Les
anybody who,
Wexner.
who knows anything about the Epi files, right, knows that Wexman was the benefactor for Epstein to begin with.
Yes.
Okay, he was the main benefactor, and then a few weeks later, he testifies in front of Congress that he knew nothing. All right, like
Oh, you
big
can't make this
fucking
stuff up.
joke,
Can't make
big
this stuff
big
up.
joke, right? Ha ha! American people, I fooled you. Screw you. What are you going to do about it? They're literally laughing in our faces right now
Oh,
at the
yeah.
fact that they're literally throwing it back in our faces like, hey, we can do whatever we want. You guys ain't doing a damn thing against us.
Well,
And that's
you
it.
know what? I'm gonna, push back slightly. I see an acceleration in this grift, like they're moving very quickly, because as much as they're threatening us, as much as they're scaring us, as much as they're trying to convince us that they're going to do everything they can to rig 2026, I don't think they have it in the bag. And so they're going to get as much as they can if in case they lose, which is looking like they're going to lose big time. And so,
And what's going to happen if they lose? Come on.
well,
I want to hear your
I want
delusional dream
investigations.
about what's going to happen
I
if the
want to arrest
Democrats
them.
actually win.
Yeah, well, that's a good question.
What's your delusional dream?
My delusional dream is that they run these investigations.
So you live in fantasy land. I live in reality. Okay. And we'll see. We'll
We gotta
see
have a
in November.
goal. Look, we gotta have a
It,
goal.
the goal is to get rid of all these assholes. That's the goal. Okay.
And then
Right? Uh,
tax the fucking shit out of them and take our money
if
back.
you think Schumer and Jeffries
Please.
are going to steer the ship
Chuck the schmuck?
any
Come on.
anywhere near impeachment, anywhere near like actual accountability, anywhere near any of that shit, you're fucking kidding yourself. You're
Actually,
kidding
you know
yourselves.
what? When it comes to impeachment, if I had the power to do this, I would work on all of the appointees first before going. Let Trump sit there and be a lame duck for a while because I don't want to get JD closer. I'd get Noam, get rid of Noam, get rid of Miller, get rid of Lutnick or Nutlick or whatever they fucking call him. Lipdick. I like that.
You, as I said, they're not going to do any of those things. They're just not. It's just not going to happen. It's not
You know,
going to happen. They're all being paid by the same people.
I know. I
They're all
know.
being funded by the same people. Like everybody, I know I get a lot of hate for this and saying that this way. But the fact is if you're being bankrolled by the same person, if you and your opponent are being bankrolled by the same person, do you really think that you're only being given the illusion of choice?
Right. No, I agree with that. That's the reason why we constantly point out that we got to look towards any kind of grassroots progressives that aren't getting backed by this money because then they're more motivated to take action and to actually listen to their constituents versus what's happening here where they just sort of pat us on the head and then do what they do.
I mean, let's look at another thing that came out of the Epstein files. So I'm going to give you another example of why this is a problem. Okay? All you need to do is we talk about ICE today. Okay? So we talk about this abolishing ICE today because of the things that they are doing today. But here's the problem. You go back through those Epstein files, ICE, CBP actually were working for the billionaires on Epstein Island. Okay? They were the ones helping to smuggle in, whether it be girls, drugs, you name it. They were the ones helping them.
So I've been looking at
Okay?
all of these Epstein files. This I did not
Yeah.
see. Who reported this, or did you do this your own
No,
research?
it was reported, and I forgot where it was reported, but it was actually reported that CBP down in the Virgin Islands, because American Virgin Islands was where Epstein Island was. And so they needed, in order to be able to get what they wanted, they made bribes to, and they were able to get their stuff through. So this isn't like this organization has had corruption in it from the
Well,
very beginning, from its inception. Okay. It was embedded here to this idea that you can train, that somehow these people just need more training, that the organization is good, right? The organization is not good. Okay. it's corrupted from the ground up. If you have a bad foundation, no amount of training is going to fix it.
Right.
Okay? This is
Well,
like
that makes
having
sense.
a crack in your foundation of your house. You ain't gonna fix it. It's just not gonna, and it's not gonna fix itself. Okay? You have to start over. You have to demolish it and start it over. So start it over already. Like, abolishing ICE should be the bare minimum.
Yeah.
Just like the Epstein tax should be a bare minimum. Just like the Epstein bill that bars anybody who has that it did business with Epstein from doing business with the state, right? And for people who say, well, they haven't been convicted, great. I understand that. Then they should go on trial first. Then they should go through a court of law and exonerate themselves, just like everybody else does. Then, if they are exonerated, then they can have their contract back.
Mm.
And the financial institution, I'm sorry, I don't want my retirement money managed by a pedophile murder,
Yeah.
right? And
Or
okay,
protector.
maybe they're not actually because they haven't been convicted, but again, then they have to go through the process to exonerate themselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay?
Good.
I only say these things because I feel like these are the bare minimum. Like, I'm a rational, sane person. I'm not a crazy liberal, right? Like, talking out of my ass, right? This is like as a business professional, having been in multiple industries and multiple businesses, if a business line doesn't work,
Mhm.
you don't keep pouring money into it, right? Hoping that at some point in time it's going to pick up.
Right.
Okay? Right? At some point you cut it off, you say it's not working, we're it's a sunk cost, let's get rid of it, let's move on to the next thing. All right, it didn't work. It was a great experiment. We tried, move on to the next one. These
Yeah.
are all experiments. Everything that we do in government is an experiment. If something doesn't work, we have to kill it and move on.
Yeah. So yeah, that was quite a rabbit hole that we just went down. I'm gonna be optimistic. I know you're gonna be realistic. I'm gonna be optimistic. I wanna leave our audience with some hope.
She's a delusional Democrat.
Oh god. Yeah, so that's a just you know what? Just curl up in a ball and go and hide, get some pretzels and chocolate and roll up, and that's it. 'Cause, there's no hope. That's what we need right now. But no, I'm we have a lot of work ahead. We have a big election year. Again, really, we really need to pay attention to who's financing our candidates, where they're getting their money from, because so many are getting them from these billionaires. Billionaires suck, and we really need to get people in there who aren't going to be on the take. And that's where we are, folks. So this ran a whole lot longer than I anticipated, but it was a lot of good information. In an upcoming segment, we're going to be talking about a new DMV system that's going to be coming up next. That's going to be a good conversation. So stay tuned for that. In the meantime, please like, share, subscribe, leave us a comment. We really appreciate all our followers. We've had a number of new people join us over the last few months, and we just want to welcome all of you and thank you for being here with us. And we're going to keep bringing you more content. All right, take care, be safe, be optimistic. All right, we'll see you
Peace
soon.
out.